LSU and Ole Miss, big one in Vaught Hemingway. I wrote this in a column and have kind of thought this all week, that the winner of this game really feels like a likely playoff team. There are shocking losses every week in college football. There are injuries that derail seasons. There's a lot that goes on in October, November, and even early December that can impact who's in a playoff. But the winner of this game is going to be 5-0 moving into October. South Carolina doesn't look awesome, is on both of these schedules in their home stadiums. And you got wiggle room if you win this game. And it's a huge one, undoubtedly. When you, the LSU fan, I'm assuming most of y'all are listening are LSU fans. That's a reasonable assumption. When you think about Lane Kiffin, I would imagine some things come to mind when you think about the personality of his teams. You think about offense, big picture. That's the correct way to think. You think about a lot of points. You think about prolific numbers, and that's the right way to think. He does all those things. And I would imagine there's some of you that think about big plays in the passing game and those vivid memories of him, even at Alabama, some at Ole Miss, right when the ball snapped, holding his hands up, running down the sideline for huge gains in the passing game. And that would be correct. He does that all the time. And so because of those things that you put together, you always think, well, passing game, unbelievable. What he does with quarterbacks, incredible. Just loves to air it out. That's wrong. He can. They will. Lane Kiffin wants to run the football. That is the backbone of his offense. Doesn't matter if he's at Alabama. Doesn't matter if he's at Florida Atlantic. Doesn't matter if he's at Ole Miss. It doesn't matter. He wants to run the ball. And that is what LSU is going to have to take away first in this game if the defense wants to have a great day. This is an Ole Miss offensive line that's having to replace 4 starters from last year's offensive front. Only Diego Pounds, their left tackle, is back, but they've got a UAB transfer at left guard, a former 4-star recruit in his second year as the center. Right guard, Patrick Kudas, comes from Arkansas, and he started 17 games between Arkansas and Ole Miss. Jaden Williams will play right tackle. He's made 24 starts for Ole Miss over the course of 3 years. He's a veteran there. But that's a veteran group that's a little bit new, but that is going to be responsible for pushing forward and getting that running game going for Ole Miss. And LSU's job is to stop it. Since 2020, here are the schools in the FBS that have run the ball for more yards per game than Ole Miss. Air Force, triple option. Army, triple option. Navy, triple option. Then you got Liberty and UCF. Ole Miss is 6th. Only those 5 have run for more yards per game. No one in the Power 4 has run for more yards per game. Respect to Central Florida, most of what they've done over the last 6 years has been in the American. So this is the most prolific rushing offense in the Power 4 since Lane Kiffin took this job. And this year, they've run the ball 43.5 times per game for 5.03 yards per carry. You're running it 43 times per game for 5 yards a carry. That nets out to over 200 yards a game. LSU, meanwhile, comes into this game allowing half of that 5 yards per carry, 2.6. Clemson, veteran offensive line, big, physical, unproven, wide receiver transplant, but big physical running back. They ran the ball 20 times for 31 yards on LSU. Florida, veteran offensive line, good tailback in Jaden Ball. 27 carries, 79 yards. In those 2 games, those 2 teams, 2.3 yards per rush. I promise you this here on Thursday. If Ole Miss runs for 2.3 yards per carry, LSU is going to run Ole Miss off its own field. Blowout. I don't think that's going to happen. I think Ole Miss is better than those 2 teams. But the point remains, if LSU, without Gabe Relaford, but with Bernard Gooden, Jacobian Guillory, Ahmad Bro, Don McKinley, Patrick Payton, Jack Pyburn, Jamari Butler, Whit Weeks, West Weeks, Devon Keys, Harold Perkins. If that group steps up to the plate and limits what Ole Miss can do on the ground, taking away big plays, which Ole Miss gets huge ones, taking away the opportunity to get chunk plays and then go tempo off of that, and then getting Ole Miss behind the sticks, all of a sudden Trinidad Chambliss's life just got a whole lot more difficult. A whole lot more difficult. But if Ole Miss gets going fast, gets running the ball, gets into 3rd and 2s, creates LSU back on its heels, gets into the game where they can play the play action and get those deep shots that then we were talking about at the top of the segment where Lane Kiffin holds his hands up and you hit those big plays, all of a sudden, now the Rebels are cooking with gas. This is, to me, the biggest matchup in this game. We're going to talk about LSU's ability or lack thereof to run the ball on the other side, Ole Miss's ability to stop the run or lack thereof on the other side. We'll talk about a fifth-year senior quarterback against a D2 quarterback. We'll talk about home, road. We'll talk about Lane Kiffin, Blake Baker. All these things are relevant to this conversation. And there are a lot of ways that these teams are going to approach this game. But the nuts and bolts of this game, to me, come down to this matchup. If Ole Miss can run the ball like it wants to, like it has for 6 years, the Rebels are going to be in good shape. If LSU bottles up Ole Miss any way similarly that they did to Florida and Clemson, good night. And I think that's the biggest deal. Now, I haven't even mentioned Kejuan Lacey. Lacey's got 7 rushing touchdowns for Ole Miss this year. He's transferred in from Missouri. He's done a really nice job. He's not the biggest back in the SEC. He's got good speed. He's not like you don't double take when he's coming down the field, but he's done a really nice job. And I think that what he's been able to do isn't necessarily pigeonholed into one style of run. Like Jaden Ball for Florida kind of wants to get north-south between those tackles and use that size and strength to move forward. That wasn't available to him. And then Adam Warren from Clemson is 230 pounds as well. And he's a wide receiver. He played his whole career on the perimeter. To say he can't get there and do any damage is disingenuous, but mainly wants to do between the tackles. When you look at Lacey, they do some misdirection. They do some straight read option. It's a different mode because Chambliss is really, really athletic, and DJ Lagway's not really a running threat. Klubnik is, but I would suggest that Chambliss is a little twitchier, a little quicker than Cade Klubnik. But this is a little bit of a different style of running game than LSU saw from Clemson and Florida. But its importance is very much the same. And once Clemson couldn't run, they packed it in the second half. They only ran for 4 yards. They quit trying to run the ball. They didn't score a point. Florida couldn't run the ball, kind of got behind the chains, and you saw third down interceptions come from DJ Lagway. He threw 3 third down interceptions, maybe 4 third down interceptions in that game. So this, to me, I can't overstate the importance of Ole Miss's running game. If you, the LSU fan, think of Lane Kiffin as spreading it out, letting it fly, that's not it. And he certainly, in my opinion, doesn't want to do that against this LSU secondary with a quarterback making his first start against a really good defense. You want Trinidad Chambliss comfortable, running the ball, handing off, 3rd and shorts, handing the ball off in the red zone, not seeing the field condensed, all these things that make life easier for a quarterback, and nobody consistently makes life easier for a quarterback than Lane Kiffin, and that's because his teams run the ball so well. This is, to me, a huge, huge, huge challenge for LSU's defense and one that will teach us more. I feel really good about what LSU did at Clemson, but they've been terrible since. I feel really good about what LSU did against Florida defensively, but they've been a disaster. And I can't take anything I see against Ole Miss or Southeastern and do anything with it. What I feel comfortable telling you is that LSU is better than Kentucky and Arkansas on defense. They're better than Tulane on defense. And if Ole Miss all of a sudden hands the ball off 32 times for 93 yards, like that's just not going to be enough for Ole Miss to win this game. That number for Ole Miss needs to creep above 150 up towards 160. And they do that with the consistency with which they run it. And then once they get it going, the tempo with which they run it, and they want to wear you down. LSU's got great, great, great depth. I went through all the names up front. It's amazing. They've got 7 guys on the defensive line that are veteran that they really trust, and they've got really 4 linebackers that they really trust. And they can rotate in and out to keep guys fresh, but when can you not do that? When Ole Miss starts running tempo. You cannot substitute your defensive line if you give up an 8-yard run and Ole Miss gets on the ball and doesn't sub and wants to go again. If you give up a 21-yard run and Ole Miss wants to substitute again, wants to go fast and doesn't substitute, you can't substitute. When you can substitute is when you stop them for a loss of 2 because they're not going to get right back up on the ball and go again. It's imperative that LSU get stops to limit all the options that Lane Kiffin likes to work with. Number 1 key in this football game, I can't put it any other way, Ole Miss's running offense against LSU's running defense. The winner of that battle has a huge leg up in this game on Saturday afternoon. Hey, thanks for watching Hunt on LSU. Before you get out of here, do us a couple of favors. Hit that like button, leave your comments below, and subscribe to the channel for all your Fighting Tiger football talk. See you next time.